Dragon Ball Z, Battle of Gods, bar none, hands down, the greatest Dragon Ball Z movie ever. Greatest Dragon Ball Z movie, period. Going into this movie, I didn't know what to expect as far as the vibe goes, because I was like, okay, this is a Dragon Ball Z movie, but Toriyama had his hands in this one, so it might be a bit different. And it was, and shockingly, a lot of the movie isn't just people punching each other. There is action, and the minimal action that you do get, when I say minimum, I mean compared to like a prior Dragon Ball Z movie where it's just tons of action all over the place, the action you do get is completely over the top epicness, greatness. So automatically I want to say, regarding the action, you don't get tons and tons of action throughout the entire movie. You get it here, you get it there, but the action you do get, the pieces were done beautifully, masterpiece. Animation wise was just out of the park. They did an incredible job with the animation and the battle sequences, whether you're getting the first fight with Goku and Bills or you're getting the last fight with Goku and Bills. The animation and the quality was just off the chain, best 10 out of 10, creme de la creme. But I was really shocked with this film because unlike all the other Dragon Ball Z movies, this one had a lot of comedy to it, and it was like that type of comedy that just makes you freaking laugh. It's not like very centric to just Japan. It's comedy that anybody can laugh to, anybody can understand the jokes, and it's just really freaking hilarious. So the movie, it didn't only have like, you know, building up the action and stuff like that. It gave you build up to just like what the world has been up to in Dragon Ball Z for the longest time, because, you know, this is a sequel to the series. So not only do you get the battles, you know, you get the villain and whatnot, you get the big baddie, but you also get comedy. You get to see into the lives of the characters, what they're up to. It's Bulma's birthday. You know, you get to see the relationship. Things have changed a bit. You get to see a lot of different things, and I think that was very important for a story like this, because this is like a sequel in a sense to the Dragon Ball Z anime. So getting the good setup that you do is just freaking hilarious. The jokes, Vegeta throwing his pride away just to try and save Earth from Bills destroying it is just very funny. This is one of the few times that I've literally laughed so many goddamn times out loud, and it was just freaking funny as hell. So if you're coming in here and all you want to see is just Goku punching people, then you probably will be slightly disappointed with this film, because even though you get a lot of that and in very pristine quality, there is more to this movie and there's more to the story than meets the eye. You get to see more of these characters that you loved and you haven't seen in years interact, and just the development that they've had since we last seen them. And I definitely say that was one of the most important things about this film. Bills, the God of Destruction, and Whis. Getting to see these characters, the way they were set up, I feel as though this movie, if anything, did more so world building and character building to the Dragon Ball Z universe. It brought a lot of that, unlike any other movie has done before. It actually expanded the Dragon Ball Z universe. It opened up brand new doors, and just, you learned a lot about the freaking characters, and you learned a lot about Saiyans, more so than we probably even learned in the goddamn series. We got a lot of backstory to these characters, seeing when Vegeta very first seen Bills in the past, getting that flashback, seeing Bills' foot on King Vegeta. And I definitely feel like they just expanded beyond belief with this movie of what is possible in the universe, because prior to this movie, you thought after the Buu Saga, this is the pinnacle of power, Goku and Vegeta can go no further, this is the end, there's no point in continuing. But when you open up doors like this, where Bills is pretty much outclassing Goku, beating him in 2 hits while he's in Super Saiyan 3 mode, you just completely throw everything out the window that you know about Dragon Ball Z, where you think, okay, there's no further place you can go with the story. And I definitely say one of the most important things about the film was in the end, when Bills was telling Goku that there's 12 universes, there are different gods for each universe, and the fact that you get to see that Bills is probably, even though he's the God of Destruction, he's probably one of the nicer ones. I say as characters, Bills and Whis, they're very different from prior villains we've got. You know, we got villains that are just absolutely evil, we got the villains that want revenge. Bills was just like, yo, I'm looking for a fight, I had a dream about having a fight, I want to fight you. And throughout the movie, Whis didn't really even do much, he was just standing around, eating sushi, having a good time. So it's really hard to classify either of them as villains. They were the antagonists of the movie, I'd definitely say that, but judging from how they ended up in the movie and what they were doing, they really weren't villains necessarily, which makes things even more interesting, because they weren't just die hard, I want to destroy the earth, I don't give a shit, even though Bills was bluffing about it, which was really even more of a twist, that he wasn't really here like, oh, I'm an evil guy. And I think that that was a very good twist that they did, something different, again, branching off of what we know of the prior movies in Dragon Ball Z, how every villain is the same. It really broke the mold of what Dragon Ball Z movies have done, and I think that that was very special with this movie. Finally have a film where it's not that Goku has the spirit bomb or Goku helps Gohan do a Kamehameha. You get something totally different with this one. You get to see that Goku isn't the strongest. We are in a different type of story now. And I really like that because it opened up new possibilities of, like, if they're not the strongest and there's so many more out there, we can get sequel after sequel. Which one could argue that this is Toei trying to milk more Dragon Ball Z? But I mean, at the end of the day, if this movie was great and more movies to come can be great, then why not? Two slight problems I have with this film, because honestly, this film was just freaking incredible. It blew my mind away. One, I feel as though the way to becoming Super Saiyan God was a little bit cheap in the fact that it was just, okay, you gotta combine a bunch of Saiyans together to make one person the God. It made sense with Shenron telling them and pretty much them getting an idea of how to do it, but it still felt a little bit easy. But then again, I guess that's from me seeing in GT them giving him a bunch of power altogether and him just kind of powering up instead of getting God mode powers. Although, to be fair, there was a certain number of Saiyans that had to be used to do it. But speaking of GT, this movie officially throws GT out the window. As well as I felt there was at times the backgrounds did look a bit too CGI-ish, where it was like, it looked a bit too different from the character models. Getting to see Pilaf, Mai, and Shu again, pretty much them saying that they actually made a wish, but they became youthful in this one. It throws GT out the window, and it was also interesting. Trunks for the motherfucking win. Little kid bagging a 41-year-old. I don't care if she's a chibi for him right now. Trunks for the win. And overall, this film blew my expectations away. For me personally, I thought, okay, it's just gonna be big baddie comes, Goku fights him, kicks his ass, done, and the movie, let's go. But it did a lot more. Showed character development with Vegeta, that he actually really loves Bulma to death. And when you get that moment where he attacks Bills and says, "You hurt my Bulma," it's very reminiscent of when he attacked Cell during the Cell games because Cell killed Trunks. Once again displaying that Vegeta absolutely loves his family and doesn't care. If you hurt his family, he's gonna hurt you. And this film also shut down a lot of the naysayers that say Vegeta always gets shafted to the back. Why is it always Goku? For once, Vegeta actually surpassed Goku, and I think that that was definitely them listening to the fans complaints like, yo, he's the Prince of Saiyans. He always was trying his hardest. Why don't you give him a bone? And they did it, and it was pulled off very well. All in all, if you want a lot of comedy, more world building to this Dragon Ball Z universe, getting backstories on the Saiyans once more, action, definitely recommend this film. And aside from that, it was just a damn great movie. It just really did a lot of different things that we're not used to in the Dragon Ball Z universe, because getting something like this in a movie, nonetheless, it just is a radical departure from what we know from Dragon Ball Z movies. And if you're one of those people that is like, I don't know, you know, Dragon Ball Z movies are always the same, they're just, you know, no, this is something very different, and I highly recommend you check this out if you're a Dragon Ball Z fan, or if you just want a really freaking awesome, action-packed, funny, hilarious movie. I'm sorry, I gotta break the rating scale for this one. I gotta give this one 7 Dragon Balls out of 7, because this movie was just something totally different, blew my expectations away, and I'm really hoping for sequels to come. But let me know what you think. First of all, do you think that this is the greatest Dragon Ball Z movie ever to date? Also, what do you think about the fights? Do you think the fights were done correctly? Do you think it was a very interesting and different approach to having Goku not being able to take down the villain of this movie and setting possibilities for future movies to come? Also, if they were to do a continuation of this, would you prefer it to be in movie form? I definitely say if they do a continuation, I want more movies. I think that the movies will give you the budget that you need to have it look as high quality as this film. And in anime, they could go the GT route, which nobody wants that. That's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Thumbs up for Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods, and thumbs up if you want a sequel to this film, because it's freaking amazing, and it'll be a crime if we don't get a sequel to what they set up in this movie, because it was amazing setup for more stuff to come. ForneverWorld, and as always, people, Dragon Ball Z for the motherfucking win.